All right. Today we're going over animal digestive systems of ruminants, monogastrics, and high-single fermenters. The three major types. Tomorrow we will continue looking over avian digestive systems. Tomorrow we'll move on to avian digestive systems, and we'll talk about some of the similarities and differences between them. So, let me find my marker. So, three basic types: monogastric, ruminant, and hindgut. So, monogastrics are going to be, one second. They're the basic stomach. So, they're going to be just like ours, one stomach that makes stomach acid where food is digested, right? So, what are some other animals y'all can think of that will have this type of digestive system? I've already said humans,
Dogs.
cats.
Cats.
Cats. One that we talked about, the last livestock animal that we talked about is goats. Pigs.
Oh, yeah.
Pigs. So,
Do monkeys have the same stomach?
yes, monkeys also. Any primate. So, I'll put parentheses in primate.
Oh, so we're
Yes,
smart-
we're primates.
We're smart monkeys.
So, you're talking orangutans, gorillas, bonobos, chimps, old world monkeys, all that. So, then we have hind-sickle fermenters. Old world monkeys are monkeys with a tail. Yes,
What's
sir.
a hind?
Give me just a second, I'll explain to you. Hind-sickle, on here it says gut or caudal, but hind-sickle fermenter. Alright, a hind-sickle fermenter is an animal that has a regular stomach like a monogastric, but they eat lots of plants. So,
Cows.
no, cows are ruminants.
Oh, yeah, cows.
Yeah, cows are ruminants.
Horses?
Horses, yes.
Sheep. You.
No, sheep, H-O-R-S-E-S.
Goat.
Okay, sheep and goats and cows are all ruminants.
Okay.
Those are the ones we talked about with the four stomachs.
Oh, yeah.
So high-single fermenters, there's one other one that we haven't talked about. We all might accidentally get it. Another common farm animal that's small and fuzzy.
A rabbit.
Rabbits.
Yeah.
So, go out there. No, just go out there. Go to the greenhouse. So, you got your high-single fermenters, like horses and rabbits. These animals they have a regular stomach that has lots of stomach acid and all that kind of stuff. But they also have what we call an enlarged cecum. Our cecum is our appendix. A lot of people don't have theirs. I don't have mine.
I don't have mine.
Because a lot of people don't have theirs. But that's where the grasses and whatnot are sent to be digested. So, the third one, we'll talk a lot more about it here in a little bit. The third one are ruminants. Alright, in ruminants. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Cows. What else? Sheep. Sheep and goats. Those are the main three that we talked about. So when you think of animals like these but aren't exactly the same, what's another one you can think of?
Deer.
Deer. Are also ruminants. Giraffes, things like that. Most of those are all going to be ruminants.
Is the elephant?
I'm not sure what elephants are. I think they're monogastric. I think they're like us. I think they have just one stomach that does everything. I think. But I'm not positive. I'll look into that. So, those are the three main types. The monogastrics, the ruminants, and the high-sickle fermenters. We'll go further into all those here in a bit. So, I'm borrowing the slideshow. So, this goes over again some of the main ones, just like we just listed. Ostrich, turkey, and chicken are listed in these. Tomorrow we'll go over what they actually are. They actually have an avian digestive system. They have extra organs that work very differently because what do birds not have that everything else on here has?
4 legs.
No.
Hollow beak.
Yes. Beaks. Okay, what about beaks makes them special?
They don't got teeth.
They don't have teeth. So they don't chew their food. Yeah, they don't chew their food, they swallow it whole. So tomorrow we'll talk about how they push their food up in order to swallow it.
Wait,
They do have hollow bones, yes.
And don't they have that thing that makes eggs instead of...
They have a gizzard. And that gizzard is what the gizzard and the proventriculus and the crop all work together to grind up their food. But that's a discussion for tomorrow. Feathers is something else that they do have and nobody else does. So,
I got this girl in my other class, she thinks she has it.
so all animals can also be divided into three main groups according to what they eat, not just how they digest it. So herbivores eat plants. There we go. Carnivores eat meats, and omnivores eat both. Alright, so with these, you have herbivores, carnivores, omnivores. That's not all of them. There are actually dozens of them that I do want to talk about, just a couple of more. So you have things called insectivores.
They eat insects.
Yes, they eat insects.
Like spiders.
Like spiders.
Hey, some spiders eat little birds.
Yeah, bird eating spiders. So you have the insectivores that eat insects. You also have fructivores. Yep. Fructivores would be things like fruit bat. Like an Asian fruit bat, they only eat fruit. They're not going to eat anything else except the fruit. And you can also have like combos. So you can have a insectocarnivore, which is going to be an animal that eats only meats and insects. So something like that would be a frog.
Spiders.
Would be an insectocarnivore.
What kind of frog eat?
Huh?
What kind of meat?
Large frogs, or toads, I should say. Large toads will eat small fish, rodents, bullfrogs, yeah, when they're a toad.
Snake?
Snakes, I don't really think snakes really eat insects. Well, I guess they'll eat like grasshoppers and stuff, won't they?
Garden snakes?
Yeah, so they would probably be considered an insectocarnivore. You don't really get into those a lot until you get into like higher zoology.
Reptiles?
Mostly reptiles, yes. So, but you won't really get into that until you get into like higher zoology and college and stuff. I just want to make you aware of it so that when you get there, you can be like, oh, hey, Mr. Trimper told me about that. So you didn't ace that test, right?
Sure.
Alright, so that's the main ways that they eat. So ruminants, they have complex digestive systems, usually with four stomachs. They have a four compartmented stomach. Yes, they have a four-part stomach, basically.
Mission chambers? Let's go check on the shop. Let's go somewhere.
Go check on it. They use microbial fermentation. Alright, so that sounds like a big word. Microbial fermentation. Who can tell me what microbial means? What is microbial?
I ain't messing with no wall.
Wasp? Here, I'll just come in here and sit quietly, please. Microbial. What does microbial mean? What's a microbe?
Small.
Small. Okay, so micro
Small animal.
means small. That is right. So if you have a microbial organism, what do you think that is?
Small animals.
Very small animal. So like a single cell organism.
Like a shrew.
No, smaller than that. Smaller than that.
Smaller than the plankton?
Smaller than like, so we're talking like cells, basically. We're talking about entire organisms that like bacteria, or very small fungus, or very small fungus. So that's what we're talking about with this microbial fermentation. So we have talked about microbial. What does fermentation mean? So when you ferment something, yeah, like when so when you're fermenting grain, letting it sit. That's exactly right. So you're letting it sit in these microbes, right? And this vat of microbes, and the vat is their stomach. So what happens is, simply, you have their rumen. It looks like that, comes in. And in here, there's all these little tiny microbes that dance around, millions and millions and millions of them. And what they do is they'll break through the cellulose wall of the plant. So let's go on the next screen and we'll talk about that some more. You got a question, Austin?
I was gonna say, so is that kind of like a demonstration of what it looks under a microscope?
Kind of. So like under a microscope, it looks something similar to this. So we're gonna have our field of view. You would have all these little, actually look like this.
We're good.
I don't know what I smell. They look similar to that, with a flagella coming off of them. So they're swimming around with these particles of food. So we're gonna pretend like this is a piece of straw. And what they're gonna do is we're gonna talk about this again in a few minutes. There's these chemoreceptors up here. So these chemoreceptors sense chemicals. They can feel chemicals in the atmosphere. They're going to be attracted to a chemical that's in these plants, usually cellulose, which is a carbohydrate found in all plant cells. All right? This chemoreceptor is going to go towards that, and this little organism, this microbial fermenter, can digest the cellulose in the plant, right? So they digest the cellulose, which lets all of the other nutrients expand outside of the plant. Does that make sense? Kind of, sort of. So it's like cracking the egg before you scramble it, right? You're not going to take that whole egg and just beat it all up and scramble it all together. Like, you're not going to like that. It's not going to taste good. So, so these would be like a egg peeler. Or it'd be like skin of the potatoes before you eat them. You're going to use the potato peeler to peel all the skins off, which is what this microfermenter would be, the potato peeler. Pulling off the outside edge to get to the nutrients. So, it's a little bit deeper than I really wanted to go, but I like the questions. So, that, all those words you saw was just what I said in sciencey terms. There's no point in getting into all of it. So, alright, right here. This is a cow. For most of the rest of the class, we're going to go through a cow's digestive tract, and then we'll do a pig, and then a horse. We'll talk about how food gets from this grass on the ground to a cow patty over here. Which cow?
Why the horse do that?
That's just how they drew it.
I don't know how to draw.
So, you have this cow, right? So, first thing you do when you want to eat something, what's the very first thing that you do?
You put it in your mouth.
Put it in your mouth.
No, we're cooking off the plate.
Well, yes. Well, we cook it. We're pretending like we're cows. So everybody get on all fours and put your hands on your.
Simple green.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, so you have this cow that wants some grass. The first thing she's going to do is put it in her mouth. The act of taking food and bringing it to your mouth, or in a cow's point of view, taking it in your mouth and moving it towards the feed, is called prehension.
Like, do they chew the food? Do they move their jaw side to side?
Yes, they do. We'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. So, she prehends the food. So you've heard that the term, you're going to apprehend a suspect, like maybe on a cop show. We're going to apprehend the suspect. Same concept, it's just a prehension. So, this next word is a funny word. It sounds like a dirty word, but it's not. The act of chewing has a scientific term. It's called mastication. So, you prehend the food, and you masticate. That's chewing. So, like if you're chewing gum all day, I was chewing gum the last time I taught this, you are masticating the food. So, the cow will prehend the food, chew the food, and then what do you do? Nope. Before that, swallow. So, then you'll swallow. So, the grass will go down, we'll follow this green line. It goes all the way into what's the first stomach? Rumen. Good job, Dave. To the rumen.
It says it.
Yes, ma'am. Alright, the rumen. Let's see. the rumen. What is the job of the rumen? We just talked about it a few minutes ago.
To break the food down?
Break the food down using
The bacteria.
remember? Microbial.
Micro fermentation.
There we go.
Good job.
Alright, so the rumen is where microbial fermentation takes place. In all this big area right here. Because all of that is the stomach, right?
Yeah.
That's the four stomachs.
That's a reticulum.
All that is the rumen.
Oh.
So the rumen is really, really big compared to the rest of it, right?
Oh, is that his abs?
They have four stomachs. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 1. Yep, that's the next animal we're talking about. So, we're going to keep following this green line, right? It goes into the rumen, goes up, and then right here, we're following it, it turns red. Where's it go?
Back to your mouth.
What's the sciencey word for throwing something up? Starts with an R.
Oh, I know it. It's like
Redigest. Huh?
Repeat. Redigestion.
No.
Repeat.
No.
Regurgitate.
Regurgitate.
regurgitate. That's
Generate.
I almost said
I
regenerate.
got too many owl books.
So, you will prehend it, masticate it, swallow it. It goes to the rumen. And they regurgitate back into the mouth, and then will chew their cud. So, this is where cud or their bolus.
So they chew on our teeth?
Essentially, yes.
Dog.
Because remember what we talked about earlier. In the rumen, the whole thing that's happening is they're breaking down the outer wall of that plant. So that way they can digest the rest of it. Alright. That way throughout the rest of it, that outer wall is gone. That shell is gone. So, you get past that and they work it back up, so then that's just normal food that they can actually digest and get stuff out. They swallow it the second time. Guys, y'all pay attention. So, after the rumen, they throw it up, swallow it again, it goes into the, what's the next one? Rumen, reticulum. The reticulum. Alright, so now let's find the reticulum on here. So we're following the blue line now. Where's it going? It comes right over here. This is the reticulum. No, we'll talk about that later. That happens. So, this is the reticulum.
No.
Reticulum's here. You circled the wrong one. Reticulum. Alright, reticulum's there. So, right here, the reticulum is where you start with some minor digestion. Oh, guys.
You okay?
So, in the reticulum, that is where the reticulum is also known as the honeycomb. In this honeycomb, that is where really what's happening is it's compacting and then absorbing. They'll absorb some water right here, a couple other things, but it's not a major absorption. Really all it does is squeezes it together to send it along. That's really all it does. So, then you get to the RRO. What's the O? Omesum. In the omesum, this is where it continues to get squished down, made to squeeze. That these two can do the same thing. They're just squeezing and making it to where it can be pushed along.
How hard is that grass to make it?
It gets pretty hard. It gets, I mean, if you ever taken like cold spaghetti, you know how it just all sticks together? It's kind of like that. It's kind of the consistency that it has. So from there, it'll move on into the remuginum omesum, the abomasum. So in the abomasum, that is the true stomach. Huh? They did all of that so they can actually get nutrients out of their food. All of that is preparing their food to obtain nutrients out of it. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, our stomach does it all at one time. So, in their true stomach, that's where stomach acid is added, and digestion actually begins to occur. From there, it's going to move on to the small intestine. So, small intestine. So, in the small intestine, who can tell me what gets absorbed in the small intestine? Yes, but more vague. Nutrients, yes. Which one are nutrients? Are absorbed. And then it moves on to the large intestine, which is where what is absorbed? What's the W? Don't think too hard.
White blood cells.
No, don't think too hard. Don't think it too hard.
Wait, into the large intestine?
Huh?
Into the large intestine?
To the large intestine. What's absorbed by the large water? Water is absorbed by the large
You just
intestine.
said you would have had it right. No, you just quiet. You had the
Yep.
answer, but you didn't say it.
So, the small intestine absorbs nutrients. So, after it goes through all these stomachs being prepared, it goes into the abomasum where stomach acid is added and the food is actually starting to be broke down. Actually starting to chemically separate some of these things.
So how long does it take the stuff to add?
About 3 days.
So the food you use it
2 to 3 days, yes.
is that for
2 to 3
humans
days.
too?
2 to 3 days. Pretty average.
So the food I eat today will come out till
Tomorrow, the next day. Yeah. So, you have the large intestine absorbs the water. From there, it moves on to the colon, which is what holds your feces until you're ready to defecate it out. So from the colon, it goes to the anus for defecation. I know it's lots of big funny words, but so that's where it goes. This one is the longest one, right? That's a lot of steps to go through. So you have prehension, which is what? Is getting the food. Mastication, which is chewing it, then you swallow it. Goes through the rumen, regurgitation, and then through the stomach. Small intestine, where what happens? Large intestine, where what happens? Water. And the colon, and then out the anus for defecation. So, that one, like I said, is long, really long, but we'll do some more little exercises that you'll learn. So, there's the end of that one. So, this is just kind of going through each thing just like we just did, just on the PowerPoint. The mouth bites and chews. The esophagus is the connection between the mouth and the stomachs. The fourth compartment of the stomach goes through that. We just went over all this, right? Alright. We talked about the microbes earlier. We'll talk about this a little bit more. So, it's a type of protist, actually. They're not really bacteria, they're not really funguses. But to get y'all in the right frame of mind, they are similar. A protist is really just a different type of bacteria, honestly. That's more advanced animal science and biology class. Looks like a tadpole attached to the side of a protist is a fungal spore. So this is kind of what they look like to a point. And they'll have a little flagella coming up over here.
It looks like a pellet.
What?
A pellet that shit pellet.
Yeah, kind of. So these are the chemoreceptors like we talked about earlier. Alright, chemo. Not chemo like radiation. What else could chemo mean?
Chemotherapy.
Not like chemotherapy. Not like radiation.
Oh.
Chemo is Wait, are you asking what a chemoreceptor is? Or
Yeah, like what is a chemoreceptor?
doesn't it take chemicals out of the food?
Kind of.
Or like
So a chemoreceptor is looking for chemicals, right?
so it's a sensor?
So yes, it's a sensor. Exactly. It can recept or it can sense chemicals, and it moves towards those microbes will move towards whatever chemical that it's designed to look for.
So that's what's in the old company?
Yep, that's exactly what's in the cow's stomach. That is exactly right. So, smaller rod-shaped organisms lining the underside of the protus or bacteria. Those are going to be other bacteria that help make gases and things like that.
Do we have that thing here?
Those no. Now we do have these smaller rod-shaped organisms. They're going to be, they literally just kind of look like this. Look, little squiggles coming off.
The jellyfish.
Now these are things that help digest fiber in us. They help digest certain carbohydrates, different things like that. But there are more microorganisms in one person than there have ever been humans living on the earth. So you're talking about,
Over billions.
yeah, there's been, I think the last estimate I read was like 100 billion humans have lived on Earth, and one person has more microorganisms inside of them than all the humans that have ever lived on the Earth.
So that's practically over quadrillion.
Yeah, I mean, there's billions and billions and billions of microorganisms living inside of you. You are your own ecosystem. Alright, so, we just went over all that. Small intestine, where the feed is mixed. Bile, pancreatic juice, and intestinal juices are added also. So in the small intestine here, these things are added. Pancreatic juice and intestinal juice. Pancreatic juice is juices that are made by the pancreas, for the simplest explanation. They help with lubrication of the feed. They also help with they help make digestive enzymes, things like that. And then bile is added to help digest fats. Most of the nutrients is absorbed through the villi or papillae, which are just these little finger-like substances that are all on the inside of your intestines. Did you know your intestines are hairy? Yeah, they're hairy. So that all that hair on the inside of your intestines, it's hairy. It looks like hair. All these little finger things that are like itty bitty teeny tiny.
It's actually very like this.
Why you open up this door?
Yeah, Mario, why you open it up?
Look, what you laughing for?
You the same bird.
Yes.
Can I take this? Never mind. It's only been 2 minutes.
I think I took it back home because the kids didn't get time to play.
Okay.
I filed it. Oh, I just want to put my pants. So the villi or papillae, they're those little finger-like things, finger-like appendages on the inside of your intestines. They help with surface area. You'll learn, most of y'all are freshmen. Next year in biology, you'll learn about surface area and how the more surface area you have, the better it is for absorption, because the more it can touch. But you have those in there. Large intestine to absorb the water. We just talked about that up here, right? Then adds mucus to undigested feeds. So literally, what your poop is, what your defecation is food that your body couldn't break down,
It's stinky.
right? So think about like when you eat corn. And you look at it, you can see little chunks of corn in the toilet, right?
I don't look at my food.
I know every one of y'all have seen this. Don't try to act like you haven't.
I have it.
I don't believe it.
I've
When
seen
you
it
eat
in a-
corn,
I've seen it in a bin.
whole kernel, oh hey, same thing. When you eat like whole kernel corn, after you use the restroom, you can still see kernels of corn in your food. Like that's perfectly normal. What that is your body couldn't digest that corn. It literally just went all the way through you and passed out. You didn't get nothing out of it.
So we eating corn for no reason.
No reason at all.
So they just,
I don't eat corn. Basically. Unless you now cream corn, like it's already been kind of smashed up, that you can digest. Because that cellulose wall has been broken down.
so they put so much GMC in corn that they no one eating.
No, they put it in corn's made that way. Because if you think about it, the girls, y'all listen. Girls. Girls. If you think about it, corn that we eat are baby plants, right? We learned about that last semester, they're seeds. So that plant is trying to protect its offspring. So if you eat it, it's not going to let you digest it. So that's cellulose is. So we talked about that the microbial fermentation is breaking down cellulose. I know it's a lot. We'll talk about it more. What you got?
Like I said the first time, there's no point in eating.
Pretty much.
So why would you eat so much and eat something else?
Because most animals digest it really well because they can do this. We can't do that. See what I'm saying? The animals break it down, but we can't. We got lots of animals to feed. Alright, so monogastrics. Dogs, cats, humans, rabbits are not monogastrics. That is wrong. Pigs. They just have one stomach. You eat it, swallow it, goes in the stomach. Stomach acid is added. So, let's talk about that for a couple minutes. Functions and parts. So, the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, small intestine, large intestine. So in the mouth, what does the mouth do? We're going to relate back to this. The mouth will
Prehinge.
prehend and
Masticate.
Yep. So what does the esophagus do?
The what?
What does the esophagus do?
It's a tunnel to your intestine.
So it's a connecting point.
Yeah.
And you swallow. Alright, in the stomach, it already has it in here for me. Enzymes are added to the feed, so acids are added, and it churns and mixes. So when your stomach growls, have you all ever done the experiment to see what happens, like why your stomach growls?
No.
So basically, just like last week when we milked the cow, your stomach does that same thing. It's constantly like that, squeezing stuff through. So what happens is, as long as it has food in it, it goes fine. When it's empty, I'm gonna come up. Can you hear that? Can you hear my hands? You know, kind of hear that squeaky? Do your fingers feel like that? Can you hear that squeaky? That's the same thing that happens when your stomach growls. Can you hear that? Almost like snapping. That's what happens when your stomach growls. It's the skin of your stomach rubbing against each other. Because it's trying to squeeze, but it doesn't let it squeeze.
So it technically does not mean you're hungry.
It doesn't. It means your stomach is empty.
Oh.
And your stomach needs to be filled.
I thought that was the bubbles in there.
It's that. I've got a little experiment we can do with that maybe one day next week.
I thought it tells you if it's hungry.
It does, because your stomach is empty. When your stomach is empty, that means you're hungry. Right? When your stomach's empty. Yeah, generally you do. In order to keep your metabolism alert and your body moving, you need to have food in you pretty much 24/7. So, and the small intestine, what does the small intestine do? Guys, what does the small intestine do? Nutrients. The small intestine absorbs water. Water. Okay, so, yes.
We get water from, you know, when you're not drinking water, you eat food and then the water in the food. So we get water from our water.
Some of it, yes. Yeah. So, like, say you eat a carrot, right? So after it goes through all this, it's still got juices left in it. So your large intestine will squeeze whatever water's left in it and circulate through the body as water. Yes. There's one animal on earth that can go its entire life without water. It's a bontebok.
It's a fish.
It's a bontebok.
What's that? What's the box?
A bontebok is a type of antelope, and they live off the water in their foods. They live in a wet rainforest, but they can go their entire life without drinking, without ever actually drinking water. There's so much water in their food, they don't need to drink anymore.
What about
I'll
fish?
go with you later. Fish drink water.
They drink.
They do?
Yes, they drink. Yes, they drink. They do drink water.
Well, why do they need to drink if they are in?
Okay.
They still have to have liquid inside of their body. Yeah, they open their mouth. Swallow some.
Don't bring me into this.
What about squid? I mean, not squid.
All marine
jellyfish.
animals need water.
Jellyfish do not, but jellyfish don't have brains, so they don't count.
So they're really a plant.
No.
Is a jellyfish an animal or a plant?
It's an animal. Yes, jellyfish eat. We'll talk about that in 2 minutes. Let me finish this and we'll talk about that. Brain, husband, and guys. Alright. Girls, y'all pay attention. Alright, and then the liver, the pancreas, and the anus, these are some accessory organs that go in with it. The liver produces bile that acts on fat. The pancreas produces insulin. What is insulin good for? What does insulin help control? Diabetes. But what aspect of diabetes? Blood sugar. Y'all talk about this. Should talk about this some more in your biology class. There are different things that go on.
I didn't steal it. They don't come around giving it to me. It disconnected. I'm trying to get you
Different things that go on that can cause your blood sugar to go up or go down. Your pancreas is responsible for producing insulin. Insulin brings your blood sugar down. It digests sugar.
We already have insulin.
Yes. Your pancreas makes it. So, good question. We can synthetically produce insulin through, we know what chemicals it takes to make insulin. So we just take those chemicals, put them together in a lab somewhere, and they were able to make insulin. Before we could do that, you had diabetes, you used pig insulin. They would farm pigs for their insulin. They would literally, essentially take a giant needle, put it in their pancreas, suck out a bunch of it, and give it to people.
Why?
Because pigs and humans are so genetically similar.
The
They
big lives don't matter.
I mean, it wouldn't kill them. They wouldn't pull out that much.
Big lives matter.
So, you want to? Yeah.
Can I take
So, then the anus, then the digestive tract, then they defecate out. So, I think that's, no, we need to icicle fermenter. So, stomach, I'm not going to go completely through it, but yeah, I will. So, yeah, pigs are pretty easy. So, you have the mouth, goes into the stomach, where they have digestive enzymes, right? Through the small intestines, where it absorbs nutrients, and the cecum. The cecum is our appendix. We call it 2 different things. I don't really know why, but they call it 2 different things. That's essentially what it is. This is where some microbial fermentation goes on. Not very much, but a little bit will go on in monogastrics. It's also where the body will store certain poisons, like if something the body wasn't supposed to have. Y'all have a good day, guys. If the body wasn't supposed to have it, it'll store it there. When the cecum gets full, you'll throw up or get diarrhea to get rid of it. So it's a storage place for bad things. And then it goes to the large intestines, water is absorbed in the colon, and poop it out. So, okay. We'll do hind gut real quick, and then we'll be done, guys. Alright, hind gut fermenter. Works essentially the exact same as a monogastric, except you saw the cecum on the other one, on the pig, was like that big, right? Fairly small. This is the cecum
Oh, back.
on horses. Austin, you good? Bell ring?
We got him.
Okay. The cecum. It's huge in a horse. What it does is basically the same thing as the rumen and microbial fermenters, right? It goes through, you done? It goes through and holds those plant type. Let me get my thoughts straight. The cecum will hold the fibrous plants and digest them just like in the rumen. It has the same type of bacteria and microorganisms in there that help digest it. Then it goes on to the colon, small colon, the large colon, and then it has large intestine. And out to the anus. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints? All right. Y'all have a good day. Thank y'all very much. Good. So, the way it works is, so basically what will happen. Alright, so this is what happens. It has chemoreceptors all over the body. Remember what we talked about, the chemicals? Okay, so as it's sensing those, it'll move towards it. And essentially what happens is there's these little bitty holes all over the bottom of its body. And if you touch it, and that hole will just absorb over you. Just swallow you.
So it's over any like animal?
Anything that it'll fit. And it goes into the head of the jellyfish, it's called the head, or the dome, and it just digests it. It just absorbs it and makes it disappear.
Does it need water?
No, they don't need water. They are water. They're like 95% water.
Why is jellyfish not to be born?
That's a whole conversation for another day.